since there are children who are here for Mass, do you know what is the meaning of the word shepherd? Children, do you know? Because we live in Singapore where there's no agriculture or animal farming, or at least not in a very obvious sense. But shepherd is someone who takes care of the sheep. Okay? So this man actually lives quite a lonely life. What he will do is that he will bring the sheep to green pasture because the sheep needs to eat grass. And unlike the documentary that you see, the grass is not easy to find. In fact, in the Middle East, grass is far between each other. So therefore, the man has to look for this green pasture so that the sheep can have full meal. Okay? And on top of that, the shepherd is also in charge of the safety of the animals because he will be out in the wild with hundreds of sheep. And therefore, there will be wild animals that might attack. For example, wolves. These are wild animals that need to hunt for food. And therefore, the sheep will be hunted by these wild animals. So the shepherd's job is not just only to feed the sheep, but also to take care of the sheep's safety, so that all will be protected by the shepherd. So it's a very huge responsibility, isn't it? It's like your teacher, your parents, they take care of you, they protect you, they give you a safe home. The shepherd does the same for the sheep. He takes care of the animals that he is in charge of. So in the first reading, we hear how the Lord reprimanded the shepherds during the time of Prophet Jeremiah. Why? Because these are religious leaders who are supposed to be shepherds to the people, but they were not doing their job. They were making people's life miserable with their laws, with their imposing of heavy, strict regulations on the people's life. So much so that it makes breathing even difficult, make life tough. And that's why God was reprimanding the shepherds, the religious leaders during that time, through Prophet Jeremiah, to remind them, I've sent you to lead the people, not to make their life miserable. And this is when God promised that He's going to send from the root of David a shepherd for the people. And of course, now we know that this person is the person of Jesus Christ. He will be the true good shepherd, and because He's God Himself, He can truly lead us back to God the Father and to heaven. In the responsorial psalm, there's something that we always hear. You know what sacraments we always hear this responsorial psalm? Psalm 22. With God as my shepherd, there's nothing I shall want. Which sacrament do you think? How about the adults? Sacrament of we will hear it whenever we are taking part in a funeral. Why? Because this is when the people are really vulnerable. They need the Lord to comfort them. And that's why this psalm is always used in the funerals, to remind us that we are truly walking in the dark valley, but we are not without hope, because God is leading us back home. Even though our loved one has passed away, we know that we can trust in the Lord. The Lord will lead this person, our loved ones, back to Him. And that's why it is always used in funeral mass. It is always recited or chanted or sung at a funeral mass to remind us that God is truly our shepherd. And in the second reading, St. Paul wrote to the Ephesians that truly Jesus has come to be that good shepherd that God has promised in the Old Testament. In the first reading, Jesus is the one who will be able to reunite what has been broken, and that is our relationship with God. Because He is God Himself, is divine. Even though He is born as a human, He has never sinned. And therefore, because of His special status, He was able to reunite what has broken us from God. And therefore, we have been made complete because of Christ the Son. Because of Him, because of His leadership, because His role modeling, we are now able to know what it means to be a true Christian, to be a good disciple of Jesus, and what it means to be a good person in the first place. I'm sure all of us want to be good people, isn't it? But sometimes we try but fail again and again. I'm sure you have said to yourself, why is it that I know that this is supposed to be what I do, and yet I cannot do it? Why am I so weak? Why do I fall into temptation so easily? So this is where Jesus can help us as the good shepherd. He shows us that even with temptation, we, with the power of God, with the grace of God, we can resist the evil one. So you remember how Jesus faced the 3 temptations of the evil one in the wilderness, and yet he didn't succumb to the temptations. And therefore it can be done. But it needs our trust in the Lord so that we can continue to listen to the voice of the Good Shepherd. This is what we are reminded also again in today's Gospel. When Jesus was with his disciples, he saw that they were so tired, they were ministering to all the people. They are meant to be shepherded, but Jesus knew that they are also human. Therefore, they needed a rest. And that's why Jesus said, let's come away to a quiet place to rest, so that they can recuperate their strength and be able to continue to serve the ministry. But even then, the people got to know where the shepherd was going, where the disciples were going, and followed. And when they came to where they were supposed to rest, Jesus saw that they were like people without shepherd. He took pity on them, and even though they are supposed to rest, he still continued to teach them. That is the mercy of God. That is the love that he has for all of us. That even when we are tired, we know that we can trust in him, that he will always be there for us, and he will always show compassion and mercy, and always continue to listen to our prayers. And that is why we also must pray for our priests, because our priests are just like the disciples. We are also tired at times, and therefore we need some kind of recuperation. So it is very timely that we hear this gospel today, because next week onwards, from Monday onwards, the priests are going for a retreat until Friday. And therefore, please pray for us, because as your shepherd, we too need to recuperate and need the time to be with the Lord, to pray. Because this is what we draw our strength from. We are all human beings. We fall like you. We are all susceptible to temptations as well. But are we able to trust the Lord and say that, Lord, even though I'm weak, I'll continue to trust that through my weakness, your grace will shine even greater. This is what we are reminded, brothers and sisters, that today we might be weak, we might feel that we are without a shepherd. But remember, Jesus is our good shepherd. We continue to listen to him for guidance. We continue to give up and surrender our troubles to him. We continue to allow him to show us what it means to live our full potential as a human person, who is loving, who is forgiving, who is merciful, who is compassionate. So my dear children, if you cannot remember anything I just said, remember one thing. The Good Shepherd is Jesus, and he is here today to pray with all of you. So let us also pray that we continue to look to the Good Shepherd, to continue to listen to his voice, so that he can always be with us and always guide us in our daily life. And before I end, I would like to share with you this hymn that I like. You might have heard this hymn before. Shepherd me, O God.